Hello everyone, I'm Wargum, and today I want to showcase myself making a level. I was originally planning on creating a beach-themed level, but then I thought, wouldn't it be more interesting if I created an Oasis level? The Oasis level is essentially a combination of the desert and beach theme. However, this level is primarily going to be beach themed. It took me a while to set up the background, but I think I got it the way I want it to be. The background settings will be in the description if any of you want to make an Oasis level yourself. So for the first part, I'm going to be adding a bridge here, and this is just to add some variety and a bit of an aesthetic. And essentially, I'm going to add a cheep-cheep under the bridge as a way to introduce a new element, or introduce the new hazard. And the main hazard of this level is actually going to be a Lakitu, which will be throwing down spinies, and it will be a constant threat because it will be respawning. And here I'm adding a new water area where you can swim, and it will introduce the cheep-cheep in a more dangerous context. You'll be at more risk of hitting the cheep-cheep. And here's the platform or the bridge, which will be the place where you actually get your power-up. So in a sense, it kind of serves as a challenge to get the power-up, particularly if you're getting a mushroom, because the mushroom can fall off the platform into the water, which is a risk. And now we're adding some layer 0 tiles here, and we're trying to figure out how we want to place them here. Essentially, put them in layer 0 so they overlap above the grass tiles, and this kind of creates a bit more of a seamless transition between the sand and the grass. And now I'm adding some slopes, and then adding the power-up question block here, which will be the primary challenge. And we add a spiny there just to add some extra challenge to get the power-up, because we don't want power-ups to be safe. The next area is a pipe area, I guess. Well, not really a pipe area, but we're adding some pipes to add a little extra platforming. So it isn't empty, it's to fill it. And yeah, I placed layer 0 sand tiles there to make the transition between the pipe and the ground more seamless. And that's because I believe the sand tiles actually are jagged on the surface, so you'll have some gaps between the pipe and the ground. And now I'm adding some brick blocks, which are 4 blocks above the ground, so they're more challenging to hit. It serves as a mini challenge to anyone who is exploratory enough and wants to actually hit the coins. And yeah, the main hazard still is the Lakitu throwing down the spinies. Now we're adding palm trees to, well, make the place more alive. And now we're just trying to figure out this next part of the beach to see if, just trying to figure out how we want to do the next part. And at this point, I realize that I want to add a star coin here, actually, because, well, we haven't added our first star coin yet, and we don't want to wait too long. So essentially, the main rule I follow when making a star coin is there has to be some sort of challenge behind getting the star coin. You can't just give the star coin for free. So the challenge I decided here is you have to go down and risk, and a cheep-cheep is a hazard that you have to avoid while getting the star coin, so you have to risk something extra. And I put a spiny cheep-cheep there in particular because those cheep-cheeps follow you. You know, the purple spiky cheep-cheeps, if you played New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And yeah, next step is just to add some coins to just fill in the space. And the problem with these coins is that I put them in layer 0, so you can't really collect them. That's kind of a problem. And it's generally a massive frustration of mine when that happens. Well, anyway, now we're adding the spawn area, and here's the first playthrough.
Oh no!
So now I'm deleting the Lakitu enemy because I now know how spawn areas work. There was a duplicate Lakitus you might have seen. And now I'm just replacing all the coins one by one in the right layer. And one of my pet peeves and the bane of my existence is placing tiles in the wrong layer and then having to start all over. And now I'm just placing another bridge here to help you platform up to the next area, and also as a way to increase the challenge of getting the star coin, so you can't just dive right in. You have to kind of go under and actually risk yourself with the spiny cheep-cheep. And now I'm just creating more of the level here. And at this point I decided actually to make my next star coin, place my next star coin. And that will be found in the underwater area, which I will be creating soon. So here I'm deciding to place a bunch of pipes. I kind of got a little bit of inspiration from Super Mario Bros. 3 Pipeland, or the jungle theme from Super Mario Maker for Super Mario Bros. 3. But then I kind of just resorted to using like 2 pipes because I didn't want the player to spend too much time searching through the pipes to find which one is actually a warp pipe, because that's kind of tedious. And now I'm just placing all the different stone block tiles to decorate it. Add some variation. I think I got a little bit of inspiration from one of the World 4 levels that exists. I don't know exactly which one. And now we're just making the exit pipe, which I start with a mini pipe. I later change it to a large pipe because I don't want the player to have to be Mini Mario to leave. I want them to be able to be at any power-up level, even though there are no power-ups in the sub area, which you'll see. And at this point, I am just creating a bridge, and now I'm creating the grassy area, or the next area, where I kind of just set it up. So now we're placing more palm trees, adjusting the height, and now we're adding some brick blocks. I guess I decided to add another power up here for some reason, even though it's not a checkpoint. A general rule of thumb is to create, for me, it's to create 2 to 3 power-ups per level. You don't want to give the player too many powers, but you also kind of want to pace it out. And essentially, I'm just adjusting the spawn area, and now we're creating the warp pipe and the new area. New area is completely underwater, and it's where the second star coin will exist. Right now I'm adjusting the background, changing the background settings. Gotta choose the underwater backgrounds, and here we are. It's a pretty basic underwater room. I mean, I don't really have a whole lot of creativity when it comes to creating underwater levels. Perhaps at some point I might get good at making underwater levels, but we'll see later on. So as you can see, I start with the exit with a small pipe, but then I realize that I don't want people to have to be Mini Mario to get out. So yeah, I expand it to become a big pipe, or a regular pipe. It's not really a big pipe, but there we are. And now I'm just completing the tiling all around here. Pretty simple stuff. Next I add the star coin, which I changed to the second star coin. And now I'm adding spiny cheep-cheeps, the purple cheep-cheeps that chase you around. And essentially now I'm adding rotation-controlled coins. And so it's going to be a spinning circle of coins that you have to collect. It's kind of just to make the place a little more animated. Those coins don't really serve much of a purpose, just kind of something extra to collect if you want. I'm adding a rotation controller, and then I need to assign the rotation ID to the coins. And then I decide to actually add a second ring of coins that are kind of overlapping the other one, but rotating in the opposite direction. That doesn't really turn out to look very well in the actual game itself, so take what you will from that. Now I'm just adding some more coins to collect, not for any particular purpose. And here comes the next exit pipe. We need to connect the different warp pipes together. I don't know if I actually disabled the entrance function on the exit pipe, but I could probably fix that sometime later on. At this point, I believe I'm creating the checkpoint area, because I'm about halfway through the level, and I decided, yeah, it's a pretty good place to put a checkpoint. And generally, you don't have all your star coins before the checkpoint or after the checkpoint, assuming you have a checkpoint. And then, I guess the next convention when it comes to making a checkpoint is usually you provide the player with a power-up after the checkpoint, which I do right here. And I just gotta make an interesting pattern with the bricks of question blocks, because the main idea of the question block is like what's gonna be inside them. It's like the present. And now I'm just adding some coins to improve the look of this area. Give the player something else to do if they want to do it, because it's kind of boring without the coins. And now I added the mini mushroom hidden block so you can access the underwater area. And here comes the second playthrough.
Let's go! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, it turns out I forgot to place the water. Yeah, oof. Well, anyway. Here's the third playtest. I'm creating the second half of the level, which you'll see in a second. First, I'm dragging down the Lakitu spawn area so I can actually work. So essentially, I'm just working out the terrain here after the checkpoint. And I decided to make it go down a bit more. And here is the bridge. I essentially create a few bridges here. It's kind of just a bridge complex. Now I'm adding more spinies, just for some extra challenge, and then some brick blocks and question blocks to interact for the player to interact with. And now I'm just lowering the bridge where the first power-up is, because in the last few playtests, I struggled getting up there. And now we're just placing another bridge, which we decided to actually put in layer 2, so it actually overlaps. So the first bridge actually overlaps with the second bridge. And the trick is actually that I add those invisible one-way platform blocks, if you know what I'm talking about. And that essentially gives you collision with the layer 2 bridge, quote-unquote collision. I'm just trying to center the question and brick blocks now. And now we're adding some coins, just for extra decoration. And then we add another bridge. And what we plan to do here is we put a falling platform between the bridge to get the star coin. And now I'm looking through other levels to see if that actual tile is used, which it appears it isn't being used. So I want to probably use the donut block instead of the supposed like thin bridge block, which you think actually is the falling bridge block. I would assume it would be a sprite, but I don't know. So now we decide to just raise the entire bridge complex up one tile so we can actually put the star coin underneath the bridge. And we're just adding coins there to tell you, hey, you can step there and it will fall. And now we're just creating another platform, and here we're actually going to add a boomerang bro, which is not really a very big element of the level, but I wanted to add a bit of randomness or variation to the level. Some donut platforms kind of to fit the theme of this part of the level. The cheep-cheeps here serve the purpose of making the star coin more challenging. And now we added a 10 coin block on the donut block for a little extra challenge for anyone who's inclined to, and more of the grass tile set. We're trying to figure out how we actually want to do it. We're adding the beach here, and we add layer 0 tiles as we did before to make the transition proper, or make a proper transition between the two different tile sets. And here we go, we're adding a cliff, which we're trying to decide how we want to do it, but we decided, I guess, to make it just a separate island or separate platform to jump to. And then we're adding more beach tiles, I believe, at this point. Yep, this is the final stretch of the level. It's supposed to be the final stretch, and I guess I just wanted to make it using the sand tile set. And now here's the final land, which we add the goalpost at the end, which I have to make 4 tiles away from the actual end part of the zone. And now we're connecting the sand with the grass tile set, and we're just filling it all in now. Now essentially this part actually has a new challenge, which is going to be getting to the top of the flagpole. It's usually a challenge at the end of levels, and the idea I was going to use here was using a P-switch. We turn these coins into bricks, and you have to hurry all the way over to the flagpole. And yeah, the main challenge is that it's timed, and if the P-switch runs out, you can't get to the top of the flagpole without a propeller suit. And so, note in the final playthrough that these will actually be modified, but they won't be modified right now. We have the P-switch brick, which will automatically turn the coins to bricks. And now we're just adding more coins throughout the level to make it all more alive. And yeah, essentially the level is mostly complete at this point. We're just adding the finishing touches. And this is by no means quite the finished product, because there's still a few errors that you'll probably see later that I'll need to fix. Namely, a terrain collision with the slopes, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. But now I'm just adding a Koopa Troopa here just to add another enemy for the sake of it. More Spinies kind of for the sake of it as well. And here's the fourth playtest of the level.
Let's go! Oh no!
Now I'm just fixing the tiling around the first star coin, just making sure they're all in layer 1. Anyway, here's the fifth playtest.
Oh yeah, Mario time!
So I'm now just finalizing the terrain around the first star coin. I kind of had a bit of a collision problem with it. There's a bit of a terracing effect, or essentially like it didn't interact like a slope, so I'm changing the terrain there, just fixing the terrain. And yeah, I'm shortening the Lakitu spawn area now here. And this is the entire level now, and I hope you enjoy the final playthrough of this.
Oh no! Oh yeah, Mario time!